بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم حميم تنزيل الكتاب من الله العزيز العليم غافر الذنب وقابل التوب شديد العقاب ذي الطول لا إله إلا هو إليه المصير.
الحمد لله رب العالمين والصلاة والسلام على أشرف المرسلين نبينا محمد وعلى آله وصحبه أجمعين. Continue inshallah ta'ala with Surah Ghafir and verse number 26. Verse number 26 from Surah Ghafir. We'll take one verse after a time, one verse at a time inshallah. So the ayah number 26. وقال فرعون ذروني أقتل موسى وليدع ربه إني أخاف أن يبدل دينكم أو أن يظهر في الأرض الفساد. And Fir'aun said, let me kill Musa and let him call upon his Lord. Indeed, I fear that he will change your religion or that he will cause corruption in the land. So this is after when he said, اقتلوا أبناء الذين آمنوا معه واستحيوا نساءهم. This is why, to justify for his people, why would he kill the sons of the people of Bani Israel and to leave their women alive to serve them. So, and as some had mentioned in the Tafseer, as if his people, there was some kind of a dialogue, and the Quran gives us what's enough for us and the benefit that we need. So whether they questioned him, what's the wisdom behind killing all of the children of Bani Israel and to leave the women, or they were silent, so he wanted to also give them the whatever he think of the reason so that no one would oppose him with this evil action that he wants to do. So فلما جاءهم بالحق من عندنا. This is what Musa alayhi salam, he came with the truth with them. This is how Fir'aun and his people opposed him. So he says here, and this is where we stopped, وَقَالَ فِرْعَوْنَ. Fir'aun said, and it's always been the way in the tafsir, when someone says something, even when Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says something, it's being said as a warning, is it being said as a glad tidings? What's the state of that speech or that statement? So Fir'aun said that to praise himself, or what, for what reason? He said متكبرا متجبرا مغررا لقومه السفهاء. متكبر, with arrogance. متجبر, from Jabbar, is one of the names of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. Oppressing his people. مغررا, this is deceiving his people. لقومه السفهاء, for the foolish ones, those who followed him in his foolishness. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about Fir'aun and his people, فاستخف قومه فأطاعوه إنهم كانوا قوما فاسقين. فاستخف قومه, he belittled his people. This is how the evil ones, the oppressors, when they deceive their people, they belittle them, they manipulate them because they know that they're foolish. So as a result of that, they followed him. Why? Because they are قوما فاسقين, rebellious against the commands of Allah. So he said to his people in that state, not that he believes it, not that it's something that has come from his conviction and his heart is upon this. And this is, as also stated in the Quran, that واستيقنتها أنفسهم ظلما وعلوا وجحدوا بها واستيقنتها أنفسهم ظلما وعلوا. That they denied the truth, but they knew it. And Fir'aun knew the truth and knew that Musa alayhi salam was sent by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So he said, ذروني أقتل موسى وليدعو ربه. Let me kill Musa and let him invoke his Lord. أي زعم قبحه الله, claimed, قبحه الله, this is dua against him, of how to be in al-qabih is anything that is disgusting and evil. أنه لولا مراعاة خواطر قومي, that if it wasn't just that he cares about the feelings of his people. لولا, and لولا makes امتناع for امتناع. That means if it wasn't, it would have been. So something that he would not do because of, to prevent something. So two things that needs to be protected or to be negated. So that's why لولا comes in place. لولا حديث عهد قومك بالشرك لنقضت الكعبة ولبنيت على قواعد إبراهيم. As the Prophet عليه الصلاة والسلام, he said to Aisha radiallahu anha, if it wasn't that your people are very close to shirk, time of shirk, I would have rebuilt the Kaaba on the foundations of the pillars of Ibrahim. So he didn't build it because the people were not prepared for it. So two things are being negated here. So here, ولولا أنه لولا مراعاة خاطر قومي, as if he cares for his people, so otherwise he would have killed موسى عليه السلام لقتله. وأنه لا يمنعه منه دعاء ربه, and that his dua, the dua of Musa عليه السلام, would not protect him if Fir'aun decided to kill him. ذروني أقتل موسى وليدعو ربه. Let him make dua to his Lord, he won't be protected by the dua of his Lord. ثم ذكر الحامل له على إرادة قتله. Then he mentioned why he wants to kill him. الحامل, what carries him to carry him to kill him. وأنه نصح لقومه وإزالة للشر في الأرض. This is because he cares about his people, نصح, and to remove the evil from the land. Who's speaking is فرعون. فقال إني أخاف أن يبدل دينكم. فرعون said, I'm afraid that he will change your religion. الذي أنتم عليه, this kufr and this shirk that they're upon. أو أن يظهر في الأرض الفساد, or that he would make ظاهر, apparent, on the face of earth, the corruption. And he says, وهذا من أعجب ما يكون. The Quran makes it very clear to us that this is one of the most, or the strangest thing ever. أن يكون شر الخلق ينصح الناس عن اتباع خير الخلق. That when the worst of the people on the face of earth, he's making nasiha and the concern to the people to stay away from following the best of the people. Sometimes if they're close, someone the worst evil versus someone of a lesser evil, maybe it's confusing. And that's why it's, as we learn while we're reading, the job of the people of al-haq is not to be somewhere in between. They have to be clearly upon the perfect haqq, for the matter to be very clear between the haqq and the batil. And the haqq, the truth, is the wahy from Allah. They have to be upon the perfect truth that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to the Prophet sallallahu alayhi wasallam. So this is Musa alayhi salam, one of the best of the messengers of Allah, and this is what is being said about him. So, and this is one of the very strange thing, that Fir'aun, which is the worst of the people, he is calling his people to not to follow the best of his people at his time, which is Musa alayhi salam. And he says, هذا من التمويه والترويج الذي لا يدخل إلا عقل من قال الله فيهم فاستخف قومه فأطاعوه إنهم كانوا قوما فاسقين. This is تمويه, like the الغرور, التغرير. تمويه, something that is covered with something. You know, in fiqh, the المموه بالذهب والفضة, right? The cup or the utensil, مموه with gold, مموه with silver. That means it's gold plated. It's not really gold, but it's called gold plated or silver plated. And the ruling whether it's not permissible to drink from it or to eat from it. So here at-tamwih is like this, is something that is plated or painted something, but the reality of it is different. So the reality of what's in the heart of Fir'aun is completely different than what's he deceiving his people, showing something that he's not upon. What-tarwij. At-tarwij, from selling something. Al-bida'a al-ra'ija is when a product is people purchase it and it's a good market for it. والترويج الذي لا يدخل, this type of تمويه and ترويج and تغرير, it only enters into the minds of those who Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala said about them فاستخف قومه فأطاعوه إنهم كانوا قوما فاسقين. Quran makes it very clear who are the people that can be easily fooled if they are fasiqeen. If they disobey Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, then their aql, their reason, their perception of things becomes corrupted. So anyone can deceive them. And they would think that they're not deceived. And there's levels, of course, of this. فَاسْتَخَفَّ قَوْمَهُ فَأَطَاعُوا. And that's why they know these types of things. So they would belittle their people by doing these types of tamwih and taqrir and so on. فَاسْتَخَفَّ قَوْمَهُ فَأَطَاعُوا إِنَّهُمْ كَانُوا قَوْمًا فَاسِقِينَ. So when Fir'aun, he said that, then وقال موسى, then Musa عليه السلام, وقال موسى إني عذت بربي وربكم من كل متكبر لا يؤمن بيوم الحساب. But Musa alayhi salam said, indeed I have sought refuge in my Lord and your Lord from every arrogant one who does not believe in the day of account. So now this is the kalam of Musa alayhi salam. Whether it's in front of Fir'aun or in front of his people, it's something that this is what the Quran says. وقال موسى حين قال فرعون تلك المقالة الشنيعة. When Fir'aun said this very evil statement, التي أوجبها له طغيانه, that his طغيان and his transgression made it, made him say such a thing. واستعان فيها بقوته واقتداره, and he sought help from his power and his ability. مستعينا بربه. موسى عليه السلام said مستعينا بربه. He said it by seeking help from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. إني عذت بربي وربكم. I seek refuge in my Lord and your Lord. أي امتنعت بربوبيته التي دبر بها جميع الأمور. الاستعاذة is عبادة, as we know, and it's only to be done to Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. It's shirk to make استعاذة by other than Allah. And الاستعاذة is in the things that only Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is able to do, not the human being. So he made استعاذة with the rububiyyah of Allah. And the meaning of it, أي امتنعت, I protect myself, I seek refuge in Allah from the evil of Fir'aun by the rububiyyah of Allah. Why the rububiyyah of Allah? Because everything is by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. The rububiyyah al-khalq والتدبير والرزق والإماتة والإحياء, the والملك, all of that in the rububiyyah of Allah, that He's the Lord of the Alameen, the creator, the sustainer, the owner of all things, the one that has the sovereignty of the heavens and the earth. Life and death is in the hands of Allah. So that's why الاستعاذة by the rububiyyah of Allah. بربي وربكم, and He's the Lord of everyone, the Alameen. من كل متكبر لا يؤمن بيوم الحساب. From every متكبر, from every arrogant one that does not believe in the day of al-hisab. أي يحمله تكبره وعدم إيمانه, that would carry him to have this arrogance and the lack of al-iman, يوم الحساب على الشر والفساد, the day of judgment, to do this evil and corruption. And if whether it's they disbelieve in the day of judgment, as the case of Fir'aun, or someone that if someone believes in the day of judgment, even with their enemies, they won't treat them like this. And the Sahaba radiallahu anhum and the believers, when they even face their enemies, they face them according to the commands of Allah, so that they protect also themselves in the day of judgment from any dhulm or transgression or injustice that they would commit to those who oppress them or those who fight them back. يدخل فيه فرعون. So this is متكبر, as the principle that was mentioned last time, that the story or the verses talks about Fir'aun. The name of Fir'aun specifically is mentioned, Musa alayhi salam, like this. But then when it comes to the ways of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, it did not mention Fir'aun. وَمَا كَيْدُ الْكَافِرِينَ إِلَّا فِي ضَلَالٍ. The plots of the disbelievers are nothing but in deviation. The same here, إِنِّي عُذْتُ بِرَبِّي وَرَبِّكُمْ مِنْ كُلِّ مُتَكَبِّرٍ. Did not seek refuge in Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala from Fir'aun, even though this is what Fir'aun is. But the dua is general. مِنْ كُلِّ مُتَكَبِّرٍ, from every arrogant one does not believe in the day of al-hisab. He says يدخل فيه فرعون وغيره, included in this dua فرعون and other than فرعون, كما تقدم قريبا في القاعدة, as it's been mentioned in the previous principle that was mentioned there. فمنعه الله تعالى بلطفه من كل متكبر لا يؤمن يوم الحساب. So Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected Musa alayhi salam by his lutf, by the lutf of Allah, the mercy that of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that reaches without anyone sees it coming. In the worst situation, in the worst circumstances, no means, and Fir'aun is threatening, but the matter has been decreed by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that Musa alayhi salam and his people will be saved. But they are not seeing it yet. And they don't have to, because they already received the wahi from Allah. وقيض له من الأسباب من دفع به عنه شر فرعون وملئه. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala qayyad, made from the asbab and the means to him very clearly what, as a result of that, the evil of Fir'aun and his people were pushed away from Musa alayhi salam and his people. So, وَمِن جُمْلَةِ الْأَسْباب, and from these asbab, now the story of the mu'min of Ali Fir'aun. So this is, as a result of the dua is being accepted by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, many things to be done from whatever is mentioned about the story of Musa alayhi salam, but one stage, one step after the other, till Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala saved Musa alayhi salam and his people from Fir'aun. ومن جملة الأسباب, from some of these أسباب, هذا الرجل المؤمن الذي من آل فرعون من بيت المملكة, from the household of the kingdom of Fir'aun. That's why the next ayah is وقال رجل مؤمن من آل فرعون يكتم إيمانه أتقتلون رجلا أن يقول ربي الله وقد جاءكم بالبينات من ربكم وإن يك كاذبا فعليه كذبه وإن يك صادقا يصبكم بعض الذي يعدكم إن الله لا يهدي من هو مسرف كذاب. And a believing man from the family of Fir'aun who concealed his faith said, do you kill a man merely because he says my Lord is Allah, while he has brought you clear proofs from your Lord? And if he should be lying, then upon him is the consequences of his lie. But if he should be truthful, there will strike you some of what he promises you. Indeed, Allah does not guide one who is transgressor and a liar. And you see how Fir'aun, he wants to kill Musa alayhi salam. And if Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will, he won't be able to kill Musa alayhi salam. But the will of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is in such a way that either that the head of Fir'aun will be snatched from his body and that's the end of it, or there are means. And these means are secrets of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that human beings, so that when they see it, it's part of the test. They won't necessarily relate it unless they are believers. So this is how the Quran gives us then the means that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected Musa alayhi salam from such a threat from Fir'aun by having someone from the same household of Fir'aun. So he says here, وَمِن جُمْلَةِ الْأَسْبَابِ هذا الرجل المؤمن الذي من آل فرعون. He's from the people of Fir'aun. من بيت المملكة. That's the significance of من آل فرعون, not just from the supporters of Fir'aun. He's from the same palace, from the same household, very close. And we don't know his name, we don't know anything, and it's meant to be this way. Allah knows best. لا بد أن يكون له كلمة مسموعة. And because of that, he has to have, they would listen to him because he's someone that is close to them. كلمة مسموعة. His كلمة, his speech is heard. They would hear what he would say. خصوصا إذا كان يظهر موافقتهم ويكتم إيمانه. Especially that if he shows that he agrees with them, you're my people, I want what is best for you. ويكتم, and he's hiding his iman. He's hiding his iman so that they don't whether punish him or do not even listen to him. فإنهم يراعونه في الغالب. في الغالب, most likely they would يراعونه. المراعاة, that means they would consider him, they would recognize what he says. ما لا يراعونه لو خالفهم في الظاهر. They won't do the same if he was opposing them in what appears to be. And this is, before we continue, some of the things might seem, is it permissible for someone to do something like this? There's things that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed كونا, by the qadr of Allah, versus the shara'. The shara', you have to follow what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala commanded, staying away from what Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala forbade. But the outcome, which is the end result that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala decreed, comes with all means. One of which, as the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam, he said, إِنَّ اللَّهَ لَا يَنْصُرُ هَذَا الدِّينَ بِالرَّجُلِ الْفَاجِرِ. That Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala can decree that He gives victory to this religion by a wicked man. How is that? Allah knows best. An evil person can be the mean for the victory of the deen. But of course, this is a believer. So he's not a wicked person, he's a believer. But he's hiding his iman, and they would listen to what he says. So he says here, كما منع الله رسوله محمدا صلى الله عليه وسلم بعمي أبي طالب من قريش. As Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protected his messenger sallallahu alayhi wasallam by his uncle Abi Talib, and he was from the people of Quraysh, and he was on their religion, so they would listen to him, and he would have some effect on them. حيث كان أبو طالب كبيرا عندهم موافقا لهم على دينهم, because Abu Talib is respected among them, and he is upon their religion. ولو كان مسلما, if he was a Muslim, لم يحصل منه ذلك المنع. This منع, this protection would have not been then happening. But as you see here, this is the decree of Allah. He says, فقال ذلك الرجل المؤمن الموفق العاقل الحازم. He's praising this believing man, and the more the person reflect upon the verses and what he said, this believing man from the people of Fir'aun, he would see and how he was muwaffaq, someone that is guided by Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, wise, عاقل, حازم, very determined and very swift, very clear. مقبحا فعل قومه. He wanted to make them see how قبيح, how disgusting and evil is their action. وشناعة ما عزموا عليه, and الشناعة, the horrific things that they want to do. أتقتلون رجلا أن يقول ربي الله. Would you kill a man that he says my Lord is Allah? أي كيف تستحلون قتله? How would you make it halal for you to kill him? وهذا ذنبه وجرمه, and this is his sin and this is his crime, that he says ربي Allah. Musa alayhi salam did not do anything to them. ولم يكن أيضا قولا مجردا عن البينات, and it wasn't also a statement that does not have evidences to it. مجرد عن, المجرد عن, that means away from. And التجرد, it's sometimes it's mentioned when a person removes everything in the heart that is attached to other than Allah, in one's nasiha, in one's actions. So قولا مجردا عن البينات, when he did not, the moment of Ali Fir'aun, he did not just say something without evidences. No, he says ولهذا قال وقد جاءكم بالبينات من ربكم. He came to you with بينات, with clear evidences from your Lord. لأن بينته اشتهرت عندهم اشتهارا علم به الصغير والكبير. So it seems, as you see here, that the bayina, the evidences from Musa alayhi salam, was widespread and known to them اشتهارا, in such a way that the young and the old get to know it. And that's why Fir'aun wanted to do what he intended to do. أي فهذا لا يوجب قتله. This does not make him or justify for him to be killed. فهلا أبطلتم قبل ذلك ما جاء به من الحق. If you are able, then هلا أبطلتم, would you then instead أبطلتم الحق, would you oppose the حق, make him looks like deviation, or to refute it? If he comes with falsehood, oppose it with the truth that you have. And the truth, as we said, has a sultan to it. And that's why when people are not able to oppose the truth, then they would seek other means. فهلا أبطلتم قبل ذلك ما جاء به من الحق وقابلتم البرهان ببرهان, and you opposed the burhan, the evidence, with another evidence. برده يرده, to push it away, to refute it. ثم بعد ذلك نظرتم هل يحل قتله. Then after that you see if it's permissible or feasible to kill him. إذا ظهرتم عليه بالحجة أم لا. Once you become superior over him with the hujjah. And this is also so that the people are not deceived, as if he's saying, by his batil or his falsehood. فأما وقد ظهرت حجته. So as for now his hujjah has becomes apparent. واستعلى برهانه, and his burhan, his evidence now is the superior one. فبينكم وبين حل قتله مفاوز تنقطع بها أعناق المطي. Between you and the permissibility of killing him, مفاوز. And مفاوز is the Sahara, is the desert land. تنقطع, because it has to be such a difficult thing for a person to cross. It's like a great attainment if someone cross it. تنقطع بها أعناق المطي. That this is an expression they would say, أعناق المطي, the neck of al-mati, the animal that they ride, like the camels. For it to cross such a huge desert, its neck will be broken as a result of the distance. That's a huge distance. So that means between you and attaining what you're intended to do, something that is very difficult for you. Why? Because you did not oppose the haqq that he's upon to start with. So وقال رجل مؤمن من آل فرعون يكتم إيمانه أتقتلون رجلا أن يقول ربي الله وقد جاءكم بالبينات من ربكم وإن يك كاذبا فعليه كذب. ثم قال لهم مقالة عقلية تقنع كل عاقل. He said to them something of reason, which shows also the importance of giving some reason. بأي حالة قدرت, in any state, this is something that everybody would agree to. فقال وإن يك كاذبا فعليه كذب. And if he's a liar, then his lie will be upon him, against him. وإن يك صادقا, and if he's truthful in what he's saying and what he's warning you, يصيبكم بعض الذي يعدكم, you will be afflicted by some of what he had warned you or promised you. أي موسى بين أمرين. And this is how even the Quran teaches us the umur al-aqliya, when a person is only having two choices. Which one would you choose? أي موسى بين أمرين إما كاذب في دعواه, either he is a liar in his claim, أو صادق فيها, or he's truthful. فإن كان كاذبا فعليه كذبه وضرره مختص به. If he's a liar, then his harm is on him and especially only on him. وليس عليكم في ذلك ضرر, there is no harm on you. حيث امتنعتم من إجابته وتصديقه, when you refuse to respond to him and to believe in him. وإن كان صادقا, and if he's truthful, فقد جاءكم بالبينات, and he came to you with the بينات, the clear evidences. وأخبركم أنكم إن لم تجيبوه عذبكم الله عذابا في الدنيا وعذابا في الآخرة. And he informed you that if you don't respond to him and accept his message, Allah will punish you in this dunya and in the hereafter. فإنه لابد أن يصيبكم بعض الذي يعدكم. That means it has to then afflict you with some of the things that he promised you, because he's صادق. وهو عذاب الدنيا, which is the عذاب in this dunya, in this worldly life. He says وهذا من حسن عقله. This is from his good reasoning and intellect. وَلُطْفِ دَفْعِهِ عَنْ Musa. And the way that he was pushing away the harm from Musa in a very subtle way. He's not openly saying to Fir'aun what needs to be said. حيث أتى بهذا الجواب الذي لا تشويش فيه عليهم. He came with this jawab, this response that is not confusing them, very clear. وجعل الأمر دائرا بين تلك الحالتين, and he made the matter for them either this or that, for the truth to be clear to them, for a person to be able to make a wise decision. One of the most difficult things is when you have 10 choices, but when you have only 2 choices and the 2 choices are completely different from one another, that's the easiest way. That's why one of the very difficult things for us to make decisions, if there is, you have 10 choices, then they are good. That's far more difficult than to have one evil choice and one good choice. It becomes easy. And even matters of ilm, the nawazil, these calamities that the ummah faces, or many good things, we don't just ask ourselves or as students of knowledge or anything. We need someone that is well established in ilm, because as they say, the ulama, the kibar, the major ulama, they are the ones that are able to choose between the lesser of 2 evil, if it's the only choice, or the best of 2 goods, if it's the only choice. But anyone, as far as not anyone, like someone has some knowledge, they can differentiate between what is good and what is evil. But then when the misery becomes not even able to differentiate between what is good and what is evil, that's even a worse state. So then he says, وَجَعَلَ الْأَمْرَ دَائِرًا بَيْنَ تِلْكَ الْحَالَتَيْنِ. And the more the person learns, even in the subject of the principles of the deen and so on, is to try to eliminate things to make sure that the matter reaches, if it's feasible, to be these 2 states only, where something that has evil in it versus something that is good. He says, وَعَلَى كُلِّ تَقْدِيرٍ فَقَتْلُهُ سَفَهٌ وَجَهْلٌ مِنْكُمْ. In both cases, killing him, because that's the concern now, is safa, is foolishness and ignorance from you. Then after that, he goes to another matter that is higher. And this is another thing that teaches in dialogue and expressing evidences in any matter, to go from the least to the one that is above and so on, so that the people at the end, they would be left with the most or the strongest evidences at the end. Don't throw your strongest evidence in the first instant, right? But rather leave it at the end. If you have 10 minutes to speak, right, don't give your strongest evidences in the beginning, unless people would be distracted or leave. If you know that they're going to be there, then leave the strongest evidence at the end. If people are not believing, not of course to those who believe, you start with the opposite way. So we'll stop here, inshallah ta'ala, and we ask Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala to make us among those who understand and to comprehend the message that Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala revealed to the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam. The attendance code is Rububiyyah. The attendance code is Rububiyyah. There's a question. The verse that Musa alayhi salam sought refuge with Allah from every arrogant one who doesn't believe in the day of the Hisab. From this, can we understand that the opposite is true, that believing and remembering the day of Hisab a lot help us in our worship of Allah with ikhlas? No doubt. And that's why the dua and these things are mentioned with characteristics, so that a person is not tied to the story or to the individuals that are mentioned. Oh, that's Fir'aun. Oh, that's Musa alayhi salam. Or the Prophet alayhi salatu wasalam did this. Well, that's the Prophet of Allah. Who are we to compare ourselves like this? So that's why when their characteristics are mentioned, that means the message here is this is in general not tied to the reason why the verses was revealed, even as a principle in understanding the tafsir of the Quran. ليست العبرة بخصوص السبب. It's not about the reason why it was revealed, for who it was revealed, but rather is the umum, is the generality of the meaning of it, for the people to apply it in their life. So the belief in the Day of Judgment and the strength of the belief in the Day of Judgment, and hudur al-qalb, the presence of the heart when it comes to the Day of Judgment. Now at the instant of the nafs is overpowering, when a person is faced with disputes or whatever, the one that will be safe is the one that immediately remember the hereafter. Not that after what happened happens, then he remember. And a person might believe, but he's in forgetfulness at the moment of the sin or at the moment of the dispute. As the Prophet ﷺ said, لا يزني الزاني هو مؤمن. The zani, when he's committing the zina, he's not, while he's committing the zina, he's not a mu'min. He's not in that state of al-iman. He's still a Muslim, but he's not a mu'min. Why? Because the heart, this left the heart, and that's why this level of forgetfulness. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us now. Anything else, inshallah? طيب, inshallah, we'll continue, inshallah ta'ala, Wednesday, inshallah. Wednesday, inshallah. Inshallah. Wednesday is okay. Inshallah. Inshallah, Wednesday morning, inshallah. يلا بكريس إن شاء الله. صلى الله وسلم وبارك على محمد وصحبه وسلم. سبحانك اللهم ربنا وبحمدك أشهد أن لا إله إلا أنت أستغفرك وأتوب إليك.